All right, so you're ready to jump into the world of software development, but right at the start, you hit this massive fork in the road. It's the classic dilemma. Do you build for the web or do you build for mobile? Well, in this explainer, we are going to break that choice down piece by piece.
This is it, right? This is the big question. It's probably one of the first, and honestly, one of the most critical decisions you're going to make. It really shapes your whole learning journey and your career. So, let's get you the clarity you need to pick your path. Okay, before we can even think about picking a side, we've got to understand the terrain. Web and mobile development, they're like two totally different worlds. Each one has its own rules, its own tools, and its own way of thinking. Let's dive into the web first.
So, what is web development really? At its heart, it's all about creating everything we see and do inside a browser. As the Odin Project puts it, it's the work that goes into building and maintaining websites. But here's the thing, it's not just one job. It's kind of like two jobs rolled into one. You see, the web world is really split right down the middle. You've got the front end, which is everything you actually see and click on, the pretty visuals, the buttons, the layout. Then you have the back end. That's the powerhouse behind the curtain, the servers, the databases, the stuff that actually makes it all work. You can choose to be a specialist in one, or you can go full stack and try to master both. All right, let's hop over to that other world, mobile development. This is all about crafting the apps that live on the devices we carry around in our pockets every single day. As IBM puts it, it's software built specifically for smartphones and tablets, which pretty much means for Google's Android or Apple's iOS. And hey, just like the web, the mobile world has a huge choice you have to make right at the start. You can go native, which means you build a super high-performance, custom app for each operating system, using languages like Swift for iOS or Kotlin for Android. Or you can go cross-platform. That's where you use a framework like React Native or Flutter to write your code just once and have it run on both. It's a classic trade-off, right? Top-tier performance versus saving a whole lot of time and money. Okay, so we get what they are. But what does it actually feel like to work in these fields? The day-to-day vibe is completely different, and this is where the choice starts to get really, really personal. Just look at this contrast right here. It's huge. A meta engineer pointed out that web development moves at the speed of light. You can push a change and poof, it's live for your users, almost instantly. Mobile, though, it's a waiting game. Every single update has to get reviewed by Apple or Google, and that can take days. If a huge bug slips through, well, like the engineer said, you're just screwed until they approve your fix. But that speed, it comes with a price. On the flip side, because any web change can go live at any second, the pressure is always on. That same engineer said your on-call shifts can become a nightmare because a tiny bug can be introduced and affect millions of people in just a few minutes. So at the end of the day, developers in each field are just trying to solve different kinds of problems. Web developers, they live in constant fear of browser compatibility, making sure their beautiful site doesn't completely break on Safari or some old version of Firefox. Mobile developers, on the other hand, they are obsessed with device performance, how to stop the app from draining the battery, keeping the app size small, and making sure it runs smoothly on both a brand new iPhone and a 5-year-old Android. So how does all this stuff translate into a career, a long-term one? We've talked about the work, now let's talk about the jobs, the money, and some of the future trends that could really impact your decision. Okay, now this is where things get pretty surprising. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, just look at the difference in projected job openings every year. Yeah, the web market is solid, for sure, but the mobile development field, it is projected to grow at a mind-blowing rate. We're talking more than 10 times the number of new jobs expected each year. The demand for mobile skills is just exploding. And what about actually being happy on the job? Well, a pay scale survey shows that developers in both fields are pretty darn satisfied, but mobile developers just barely edge out their web friends, reporting an 82% satisfaction rate. It seems like building those apps we use every single day is a pretty rewarding way to make a living. But listen, we can't talk about the future without talking about the elephant in the room, AI. Artificial intelligence. How is this going to change the game for developers in these two fields? This is a really fascinating take from that same engineer at Meta. He basically argues that AI is getting scary good at automating website creation, but mobile development, with all its complex hardware integrations, performance issues, and super strict operating system rules, well, that's proving to be a much tougher nut for AI to crack. That could make mobile a more defensible career path in the long run. So,
After all of that, which one is for you? Look, there is no single best answer here. The whole point is to give you a framework, a few questions to ask yourself to find the path that fits you perfectly. First off, think about your personality. What kind of builder are you? Do you love the thrill of shipping features instantly, constantly tweaking and improving, even if it's a little messy sometimes? That's the web. Or do you prefer to take your time, polish every last detail, and release a perfect, rock-solid product? That is the discipline of mobile. Next question, where are you right now? If you already know some web basics like JavaScript, then getting into mobile can be way smoother if you use a cross-platform framework like React Native. But if you're starting from absolute zero, then you've got a totally clean slate. You can pick whatever language just sounds the most exciting to you, whether that's Swift for iOS or Kotlin for Android. And finally, what truly gets you excited? What's the thing that makes you want to build? Is it the idea of creating something for the open, universal web that's accessible to literally anyone with a browser? Or is it the magic of tapping into a phone's hardware, the camera, the GPS, the health sensors, to create these really personal and powerful experiences? So, what's the big takeaway here? Don't get too lost in the job numbers or the salary debates. The most important factor is picking the world that genuinely fascinates you. The path that sparks your curiosity. That's the one you'll stick with, that's the one you'll master, and that's the one where you'll build an amazing career. The only real question left is, what do you want to build next?